Hi, I'm Michelle Masters, and this is the Pacific Ocean. This is a spot where every time I teach a money magic at home here in the US, I come out here the day before to do a little work, and also because I want my teaching, I want the class, in fact I want my life and my money to feel the way it feels out here. The magic, the beauty, the expansiveness. That's why I keep doing this work. So we're going to record this part rather than me droning on at you from my office, which I've done, and then I'll come on at the end for some live questions. But for right now, just to start this off, I want you to think about the trajectory of your life so far, especially the trajectory of your life in terms of your money. Like, if you look at where you are now and where you've been, if you were to continue that trajectory out into the future, the same patterns, the same experiences, just notice for a moment what that life is like. If you keep living the money patterns and the life patterns that you've been living so far. Take a minute and just go all the way out to the end of your life with those patterns. Notice what that's like. What that life is like, what it's like to leave that life, what did you do or not do, who's there or not there. And then, just for a minute, come back to present time and imagine you could change things. Imagine that you could have a life of more satisfaction, especially around money, but actually especially around life. Imagine going a life, something changed, and you can live a life of more satisfaction in your money, in your work, in your personal life. Notice what it's like to go out on that trajectory, to get to do the things you want to do, be the things you want to be, see the things you want to see, and experience the things you want to experience. Notice what it's like to live that life, all the way out to the end. Notice who's there or not there in that life, and what you did or didn't do. Because right now you're at a point where you have a choice. You can keep going on the path you've been on. It's been done. Or you've got the potential now, you've got the possibility to fundamentally change the trajectory of your life. I'm Michelle Masters, like I said, and I'm the creator of Money Magic. And I've been taking people through all kinds of workshops, but especially Money Magic, since 2006. And the changes that we've seen happen for people are truly amazing. Not only does their money change, but they tell me they feel lighter, they feel happier, they're doing more of what they want to do. Because none of it really matters if you're not happy. So I want to talk to you a little about how things stay stuck, why things haven't changed for you, and what you can do to actually change them. Because I'll tell you, there's two main things that are in the way of you not having what you want. One could be that you just don't know what you want. You're not clear. When people are clear what they want, that's the first step and the biggest step. Well, it's the first step, let's put it that way. And it is the most important, because until you know what you want, there's no point in going for it. And the universe can't reflect back to you if it doesn't know what you want. It can't reflect it back to you. So clarity, getting clear on what you want, super important. The other thing that's important to having what you want is to have patterning that supports it. Because if you don't already have what you want, it's because either you're not clear or you've got patterning in the way. And most of the people I meet are pretty clear they want more money. They may not know why yet, but they're pretty clear they want something different. But they don't know what's in the way, because the things that are in the way are unconscious. If they were conscious, you would have changed it a long time ago. And so I'm going to talk to you about the three main things that typically are in the way, the unconscious patterns that are running that keep people from having what they want. And we'll even do a little exercise, or maybe two, one of them to pop up to reveal some of the patterns that you have running that you may not have even been aware of. And then we may do another little bonus piece of change work. It's an exercise that many people find helpful and expansive. But to start with, let me just say that, as I said before, the things that are in the way are almost always unconscious. Most of what we experience is actually, sorry, a little wildlife joining in the party here. Most of what we experience as blocks are actually unconscious. It seems like it's life. It seems like we just don't get the breaks, or like we have to work hard. It seems like it's the way it is, but it's actually unconscious patterning, because when the patterning changes, and I've seen this over and over and over, it's why I have a job, when the patterning changes, people's lives change. Things are different, things are easier, things start happening in ways they can't always track. So just to let you understand how some of this works, most of the things that are in your way were in place between the ages of 3 and 6. So it's not something that you're doing now that is actually, it's not something starting now that's the problem. It may be showing up now, but the things that stop us are in place between 3 and 6 years old. Because we start learning like crazy, and this is how it starts. As soon as like you have a fetus in a little fetus in the womb, little fertilized egg, as soon as you're in the womb, the organism starts having associations. They're very simple associations. It's kind of like, I'm here and it's like this. So if someone's here and it's stressful, mom and dad are fighting, there's not enough money, someone's unhappy, someone's dissatisfied. If that's going on and the organism is here, it will equate the two. I'm here, it's like this, they must be related. It must be me, it must be my fault. Or life must be stressful, life must be difficult, it must not be possible to get what you want. These are the kind of things they start right from the get-go. We start making these associations. There's no conscious thought yet, we just have an association. And those associations are strong. If you've ever had food poisoning at a restaurant, even a restaurant that you had 50 good meals at before, all it takes is one time, one case of food poisoning. Every time you think about that restaurant, it's like, oh, it's an association that won't go away, because we're designed to make associations. And these associations that we make when we're really young, they become the basis of our identity. They become who we think we are and what we think the world is like. Later on, those become the filters that we use to filter out reality. So these associations start happening. They eventually become beliefs. Most of our beliefs are in place by age 3, and pretty much all of them by 6. The system is designed to be fully as functional as possible between 3 and 6. Everything else after that is sort of a recombination or a recalibration of those original learnings. And they were learnings. Just like learning how to walk, you learned what it was like in your family. You learned what to expect in your family, and we generalize that to the rest of the world. Now, our learnings then become automated, which is really good, because if our learnings weren't automated, every day now when you woke up, you'd have to relearn how to walk and talk and potty train yourself. And frankly, I'd rather not do that again. So it's good that our learnings are automated. But some of what's automated is stuff like you have to work hard, you have to struggle, money doesn't grow on trees, nobody's going to give you what you want. These are kind of some of the things that we learned that are now automatic. The same way that walking is automatic for us, the same way that we don't even think about so many things that we do, these are just part of how it is for us. So this is the first main way that people get stuck, is they have these old associations around money. What money's like, what life is like, how happy we can be, how safe we are, how safe we can be. These early associations then become our template for life. Now, until fairly recently, once you had those associations in there, the only way to change them was to die. And come back, but that means going through adolescence again, and I'd do anything to get out of that. But now we actually have a way to go back and change those patternings, because it's actually neural patternings. It's held in your neurology. It's not just a concept. You have neurology that it's like a reflex. You know, when the doctor hits your knee with that little mallet, your leg just moves. Or if something flies at your head, you pull your head back. That's a reflex. These early learnings about life and money, they are like reflexes. They are that automatic. But we can change those, and that's a lot of what I end up doing with people, either in personal sessions or in Money Magic, is changing the automatic associations that are running. So that's thing one. We all have these automatic associations. As a matter of fact, in a minute, I'm going to turn down, we'll take away the picture and we'll take away all the background noise, and I'm going to read to you some sentences and let you fill in the blank. They're incomplete sentences that I'll start and you'll finish. And you'll just let whatever comes to mind pop into your head. Because we all have things in there. We all have multiple beliefs about everything, multiple associations, not just one. We have multiple beliefs about ourselves. I'm okay, I'm not okay. I'm a good person, I'm not a good person. We have contradictory beliefs about many things, including money. Even things we don't consciously believe, we still have associations running from the past. And those become part of our world. Even if we don't consciously believe them, if they are part of our unconscious, it's part of our world. Because consciously, you can pay attention to somewhere between 5 and 9 things at a time. Unconsciously, your system is processing 2 million things per second. So our unconscious is what holds us patterning, and it will just run hundreds of thousands of associations continually and patternings, while consciously we're trying to hold on to an idea of prosperity, of abundance. If our unconscious is running a fire hose of hundreds of thousands of not enough, scarcity, lack, have to work hard, have to struggle, and you can't have what you want, if it's running that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, our conscious assertions of there's enough for me, they're running up against a slew of counter-programming. So let's do a little exercise just to see some of what you might have running. Like I said, we'll take away the background, we'll take away the picture and the background noise. Just let the first answer that pops in your head, just write that down. In fact, don't write down the whole thing, just the answer that pops up. Because we all have things in there that we're not expecting. So get something to write with if you don't have it already, and we'll take down the picture and the sound. Just write down the first answer that pops in your head. People with money are... Money makes people... I'd have more money if... My father thought money was... My mother thought money was... I'd be more successful if... In my family, money equals if I could afford it, I'd money is money causes in order to be more successful, I'd need to having money is not in order to have more money, I'd need to Success always. I deserve. I don't deserve. People deserve to have money if So what did you notice? Did anything come up that surprised you? I've been doing this work for so long, and I've been teaching that exercise for a long time, and I've noticed over the years some of my responses have changed as a lot of my money stuff has changed. And then I will still sometimes hear old stuff come through, like money is the root of all evil. I wasn't even raised in a religious household, but I still hear that one because it was so much in the air. So we all have associations that are not even what we consciously believe, but because they're in there, they're part of our world. They're part of our money world. Now there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And what it does, its job, is it filters for, it looks for what you're already looking for, and it screens out everything else. So the most common experience most people have had with this is if you decide you want to buy a new car, and you think, you know what, I think I'd like, a black Mercedes, let's say. Overnight, the parking lots and towns and roads of your village or your city fill up with black Mercedes. Suddenly they're everywhere. TVs, commercials on TV, parking lots, they're everywhere. This is a part of your brain, the reticular activating system, that once you're looking for something, it starts scanning for that and finding it everywhere. Conversely, it also scans out everything it's not looking for. So there were most likely just as many black Mercedes the day before you decided you want one, but you weren't looking for it, so your brain wasn't sorting for it. So it screened them out. Once you started looking, they were everywhere. Pregnant women tell me the world is filled with pregnant women. I never see them. But that's our brain. It filters out what it's not looking for and lets in what it is. So opportunities, magical coincidences, if we are designed to find them, if we are filtering for them, they will come in. If our brain is screening them out, we will not see it. We could be in a room full of money and not see it. We could be in a room full of opportunity and not see it. We could be standing next to the person of our dreams and not see them because our brain is filtering them out. So these filters are these old associations, and when those change, then your brain starts filtering in other experiences. You start attracting other experiences. Suddenly, it's like the black Mercedes. Suddenly, the things you want are everywhere. And the things you don't want aren't there anymore. So this is the first part of money magic, of changing your money life, is finding out what the old beliefs and associations are that are running and revising those. And the way we change them actually changes it so it's automatic. It's permanent. You don't have to continually remember to be different. You don't have to practice it. You don't have to affirm it. It's just different because it's like rewriting software. So if you rewrite software code for a computer, you can try yelling at your computer. I've done it. It never works. But if you know how to rewrite software and you know the code that the program is written in, you can rewrite the code and the program runs differently. That's just how software works. Rewrite the code, know the code that's written in, rewrite it, program runs differently. You don't have to encourage the software once you've rewritten it. Come on, software, go! You don't have to do affirmations. You are powerful software. You don't have to do anything differently. The software runs differently. You don't have to hold it accountable. I thought we agreed you were going to do this differently. Once it's rewritten, it runs differently. And the same is true of our patterning. When you rewrite the software that's running, the pattern is different. And so the most common thing I hear from people is after this class is they're making double or triple their income, they're making more money, things are showing up, and they don't feel like they're doing anything differently. So often they don't even know that they've made a lot more money until they go to do their taxes. Around tax season, I start getting a lot of thank yous because people didn't even realize how much money they'd made because it felt easy. Nothing, they weren't working hard. It was just showing up. So that's the first part. The second thing that is in the way for most people of them and the money they want is their sense of worth. This is a belief about our identity, about who we are and what we deserve. Because sadly, very few of us have a really congruent sense of our own worth. Almost nobody has a full sense of their worth. And so, because we don't have a sense of our true worth, we won't let ourselves have more than we think we deserve. So if we end up getting more than we think we deserve, we'll make it go away. We'll find other expenses, we'll have an accident, something will happen that will eat it up, or we'll crash some other area of our life. Our relationship blows up, our health gets bad. Because we just will not let ourselves have more than we think we deserve. And our sense of worth is in place by the age we're 3, pretty much. I work with people all the time, and one of the biggest things in the way is the feeling of I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, I'm just not worthy, I just don't deserve. And almost always we're back in the ages of 3 to 5. Now some psychologists I've met have told me there's some psychological basis to that. I just know it shows up all the time when I'm working with people. Between 3 and 5 is pretty much when we solidify our sense of what we deserve and whether or not we're enough and what we're capable of. And sadly, as I said, most people don't have a really robust sense of their worth. And you know, people who have a sense of their true worth, they're not arrogant, they're not proud. It is such a magnificent experience of radiance. It's more like radiance. When you have a sense of your worth, it's like radiance. So let's do a little experiment here to get a sense of kind of your worth. What happened to your sense of worth? What it was before you came into a body, and then what happened and where it is now, and what it could be like. So again, for this exercise, I'm going to take away the picture and the background picture and the background noise so that you can concentrate a little better. But take a minute and get comfortable, because I'm going to want you to imagine some things. Take a minute and imagine or remember that place of infinite worth that you came from. Before you came into a body, just take a moment to make contact with that place of infinite worth, infinite worthiness, infinite deserving. Then, from the outside, watch yourself come into the body, into the womb, and begin to grow and develop. When does that sense of worth begin to diminish? Is it all at once as soon as you come into a body? Or is it slowly over time? Or are there certain places where it goes away or gets diminished? Just from the outside, watch yourself go through the womb and getting born and growing up, all the way to your current age today. Noticing what happens to that infinite sense of worth and worthiness. Then, go back for a minute and make contact with that infinite sense of worth. Step into that place that you came from. Let yourself feel that. And then, when you can feel that place you came from, that place we all came from and we all return to, when you can feel that, stay inside that feeling and notice what it's like to come into the body, to come into a womb with this feeling intact. No matter what's going on the outside, no matter what's happening for your parents or the world, no matter how much anybody else's sense of worth got shut down, stay inside your own body and just breathe this feeling of infinite worthiness throughout all the cells of your body and all the spaces in between your cells. Notice what it's like to grow fingers and toes, bones and muscle, and a sense of self and the world when you are inside this feeling, when this feeling is you and is who you are. No matter what's going on for anybody else. Let yourself grow and develop and grow up all the way to your current age now, noticing how many things are different in your life, how many things are different in your money, how many things are different in your health when you live inside the utter worthiness and deserving that is you. Notice how it changes your interactions with people and the expression of your own gifts and talents. Because this is more of who you are. All the rest has been an illusion. As Carl Sagan says, we are made of star stuff. You are made of star stuff. What's it like when that can glow inside your body and heart and mind and soul as you be in the world? Notice how much can be different for you now. When you've had a moment to let that really soak into the fabric of your being and your sense of what's possible, then gradually bring your attention back to current time. So, whatever you noticed in that, I want you to notice that there is so much more to who you are and what you're worth than how you're living. Very few of us really live from a complete sense of our worth. One of the reasons I love coming here is because when I'm here, I make a little bit of contact with that part of me that is so much bigger than I typically live. And you know, while we're here, I'll just tell you, I used to be a docent here. I used to, during whale watch season, I would sometimes volunteer and come out here to help people spot whales and also to explain a little about them. And one day, I was right up on that bluff up there, and there were a couple of juvenile gray whales right out here playing around and spouting. And so I was pointing the spouts out so that people could see them, because you have to kind of watch for them. And this one lady, she saw the spout, but she wasn't really seeing much of the whale because not much comes up. And she said, "So when do they jump out of the water like at SeaWorld?" Now, I rather patronizingly, I think, explained to her that these were gray whales and they weren't going to breach out of the water like that we were lucky to get to see these spouts and see them hanging out there. I swear to you, not 90 seconds after my little superior explanation there, one of them breached out of the water 3 times in a row. Just so she went home happy and satisfied. I went home humbled, but also it was pretty cool. Her desire was clear. She wanted to see a whale. She apparently didn't have a lot of patterning in the way. The universe responded. She got her whale. Actually, we all got her whale. Because of her clarity, we all got to see something beautiful. And I will tell you, each one of us that gets clear on who we are and what we want, it's a gift for everyone. It's a gift for everyone. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, the last thing that typically, and it is the biggest thing that's in the way of people having the life, the money, the health, the relationship they want, is something called unconscious family loyalties. As humans, we feel badly when we have it better than the people we love and the people we come from. Now, if you were hungry and you had a plate of your favorite food, but next to you, all around you, were family members who were hungry, who didn't have any food, like thousands of them, how okay would you feel like eating your spaghetti or whatever it was? It would just feel weird to be eating when so many were hungry. That's that human thing that makes us want to like try and spread one bowl of spaghetti among 1,000 people, which won't work. And since that won't work, we usually push ours away and we won't eat either. If you won the lottery and you were at a funeral, most people wouldn't say, hey, guess what? It feels wrong when other people are in pain. And so, usually unconsciously, we will limit how much good we have and how much good we allow to be like or loyal to the people we come from. And this can stretch back generations, actually. I had a client recently who said we were doing this money magic class, and she was starting to, like, things would start to work and magic was starting to happen, and every time it got magical, she'd hear this screeching sound in her head, and it would pull her out of that good feeling. When we found out what caused the screeching feeling, just outside of her conscious awareness, she was loading up a voice yelling, "Run." And I asked her, I said, what language was the voice speaking? And she went, "Oh, Malaysian," because her people were Malaysian. And she realized it was the voice of her uncle who was running from the Japanese. And his father didn't survive. So every time life would start to get good for her, she would load up this tragic incident from her family for someone for whom life did not go well, and it would stop her in her tracks. I can't tell you how many, these are usually the biggest blocks to things getting better. Either because there's been struggle in the family, there's been hardship, or the family has profited, but they profited at someone else's expense. Like I had a guy come to see me with a gambling problem because he said, "It's like I'm trying to lose my house." And when he said that, I thought, I wonder who lost their house. And it turned out his family had come from Mexico and in the 30s and was living outside of Los Angeles in 1941 next to a Japanese family. And when Pearl Harbor happened, the Japanese family was put in an internment camp, and they lost, so his family got their house and their farm. Now they'd been friends, but his family profited from that family's loss. So he was unconsciously trying to pay that debt. There's a lot, if you want to know more about this, Google family constellations, because it is or Bert Hellinger. These are fascinating understandings, and they are very profound, and it is some of the deepest pain that we experience, and it's out of love and loyalty. So these are the 3 main things, sorry, avoiding some nature. These are the 3 main things that keep people stuck. It's old associations, your sense of worth and deserving, and unconscious family loyalties. So these are things that when we do our money magic class, these are things that we do change patterns on to revise so that you can get clear on what you want, like the lady and the whale. Like my friend Ike, who came and took the class, he had a sandwich shop. He had one sandwich shop, had been voted in the top 50 in the country, but it was closing down. He was being evicted. He came to take money magic. He discovered he had a fear of money. And then he also discovered he had a family loyalty running because his people had been kicked out of Palestine. So during the class, those things got worked on and those things changed. In the next year, he opened 7 shops, and his income went, the business went from $300,000 a year to $3 million in that first year. I don't even know how many he has now. He regularly gets offered $100 million to buy his business, and he keeps turning it down because he likes his business. But when these things change for people, the unconscious beliefs, the associations, the sense of worth, the family loyalties, then their lives change, sometimes in small but beautiful ways, and sometimes in ways that just defy our explanation. When I first did this, designed this workshop, it was all NLP, so people would come take it in neurolinguistic programming. They would come take it, and in the days and weeks after, things would start to change. Then in 2008, I believe, I went to a matrix energetics workshop, which is a way of working quantumly. I started adding that in. When I added that in, people started getting changes before the workshop. They'd register and then get a check in the mail, or get a job or a promotion. So that's when it started to get really fun. So if you would like, if the trajectory you are on is not the trajectory that you want, then there's only two things we really need for you to have a different experience. One is to get clear on what you want, and the other is start to change and remove the blocks and patterns that are in the way. And that's why we have Money Magic, and that's why we'd love to have you come, because the better it gets for you, the better it gets for all of us. We don't live in a zero-sum world. In fact, we live in a world that's better than it's been for most people. But it can be so much better now, because this is the first time in history when we can go back and change our own patterning without having to die. We can decide from a point of view of an adult instead of a 3-year-old who we want to be. Most of us wouldn't try and wear the underwear we wore when we were 3, but we're still wearing the beliefs. We're still living inside the beliefs from when we're 3. And they are just as constricting as trying to fit into drawers from a very small person. It's time we get our big person drawers. It's time we get to choose to be who we want and how we want to live. So if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you come join us at a Money Magic workshop, either in person or online. Okay. Now we'll take some questions, but to do that, you're going to need to switch over to the live Zoom room. So we'll put up a link for you so you can join us in the live room. Thank you.